And from physical health to mental health, September marks Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and a new government study released reveals that suicide has been on the rise nationwide since 1999 and has increased among all sexes, ages, races, and ethnic groups. Here to help us understand more about why suicide's on the rise, especially with our teen population, we have Dr. Jasmine Singh from UCSF Fresno. Dr. Singh, so good to see you.
So good to see you. I'm glad to be back.
Oh, we're so happy you're here because what a good topic to talk about, especially in National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
So first of all, I have to ask, why the rise? Why are rates increasing?
So there are many theories on why that is. A very new study has suggested that technology use has contributed to a decline in teenage psychological health. And so due to that, there may be an increase in suicide. But I personally think that there's just been more attention given on this matter.
Yeah.
And we know more, and so that's why it's becoming more prominent and we're more aware of how suicidal teens actually are.
Well, speaking of knowing more, you provided some great stats I kind of want to go over so everybody's aware of what this issue is. Can you tell us about them?
Yes, so almost 5,000 adolescents commit suicide every year, meaning death by suicide every year, and so many more are hospitalized for self-injury, 157,000.
That's so many people.
It's so many people, but the sad part is this is just a small amount of the people who actually engage in suicide behavior and engage in suicidal acts. That is 70% of people don't even go to the hospital. They just suffer on their own at home and they never reach a doctor. So these are very conservative figures that we have.
I bet. This is what really struck me. A person dies by suicide about every 12.8 minutes here in our country.
Yes.
We got to do better.
We do. The CDC, the Center for Disease Control, has called suicide a public health issue. It's not just a mental health issue. It has become an epidemic, a public health crisis, and we all need to work towards eradicating it.
Yes, we do. And meanwhile, every day, 123 Americans take their own life. Of course, that's not just teens, but everybody.
Yes.
So once again, we got to work on that. And what other facts and figures really struck you?
Well, the most prominent to me is that 90% of the people who die by suicide have a diagnosable psychiatric disorder at the time of death. To me, that is just heartbreaking that we have medicines for these issues, there's treatments for it, and people are dying by suicide when, in fact, if they got engaged in care, they could have maybe survived.
Yes, and that's why there's doctors like you that are there to help.
Yes.
So what do we need to tell these people out there if they are suffering? How do they even know that they are in need of help?
So if someone is experiencing symptoms of depression, meaning low energy, poor sleep, tendency to isolate, these can contribute to and lead to suicidal thoughts and behaviors. If people come from a very tumultuous background, if they don't have a lot of supervision, either at home or at school, especially if they feel socially isolated and they feel that, especially teenagers and adolescents, if they feel that no one really understands them, if no one really understands the pressures that they are undergoing, that can lead to suicidal thoughts, thinking that they just can't, nothing is possible, they can't get through this. So if someone is having these thoughts, I plead you to please reach out, tell someone that you're having these feelings and you can get the help that you need. Mental health care, not many seek it, not enough seek it, but suicide is not ever the answer.
Never, never. And I love how you outlined possible factors for teen suicide, because this is something for parents to recognize. Of course, you're going to have hormones, and it's don't just blame it on, oh, that's his hormones, that's why he's acting sad or maybe erratic. I mean, maybe it could be a bigger issue here. And then, of course, there's so much pressure when you're a teen. And talk about real fast the brain development, because I thought that was interesting.
Yes, so this is not very well known at all, but two areas of the brain are still developing when people are teenagers, the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. So these two areas are very, very important. Why? Because the prefrontal cortex is involved in executive functions. What does that mean? So that means planning for the future, controlling your emotions, making sure that you can understand consequences of your actions, not being impulsive, not being erratic. These areas, this area of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, manages all of these functions. And this is new information. Maybe we didn't know this decades ago. And poor teenagers, they don't have this area fully developed.
Yes.
So how can they be
They can't.
fully, planning for the future and thinking about every single thing that they do and managing the consequences?
And that is the job of parents, to remind them, okay, your world's very small, but you got to think big picture here.
Yes.
Don't be upset,
Yes.
and obviously seek mental health help if it's very serious. So doctor, how can people get a hold of you if they would like to see you and talk more about this?
So I'm a resident at UCSF Fresno. On Instagram, I am the Jazzy Doc, but any mental health professional would help. This is very, very important. Suicide is a permanent solution to hopefully a very temporary problem. And you don't need to be a doctor to help. You don't need to be a teacher to keep an eye on other people. Everybody, we can all take care of ourselves.
Yeah, we can.
You see someone who is not doing well, or they've isolated, or they've gone through a traumatic event, reach out to them, ask them, talk to them.
Yes.
Connectedness is very important. Feeling connected to yourself, individuals, your family especially.
Yeah.
There are studies showing that adolescents who are connected to their parents and their families have a decrease in suicidal behavior.
I believe
So
that. As well as your
connectedness-
community.
Yes.
It's on all of us,
Yes.
everybody. So let's make sure everybody is healthy and happy as much as we can.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Dr. Singh, for being here
Thank you
today.
so much
we
for having
appreciate
me.
you.